Hey everybody, welcome to Fab Fit Friday today. This is going to be an exciting one, and I was so excited I didn't notice that I splashed all over my shirt, so just ignore my my boo-boos. But the real star of the show today is, ta-da! Let me just stop and say hi to Barbara, Janie, Mary, Pat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am in love with this top, and I've worn it like every day since I made it. And I'll tell you, my thumb hole is a huge happiness for me. And if you're interested in learning how to make this thumb hole, probably I can show you better in my other view here. Basically, I love it. It fits, it's comfortable. I'm going to add it to more tops. I'm making a top for my daughter Anna back there. And I'm very excited about that because that's involving plus sizing my raglan sleeve. So part of my rebrand that I'm working on in the background is going to be more size inclusive. So I'm going to be going up to a size 32. And I tested one of the sizes on Anna, and it worked out really, really well. So instead of me trying to squeeze her into the pattern just by, letting it out and doing things, now I actually have a size for her, which makes me so happy. So yay. Victoria says, hold on. Pat says, currently sewing a circle skirt for my grand from Hogwarts knit fabric from Fabric Mart. I am wishing it was woven. Woo! Circle skirt in knit fabric. That sounds like that's a fun project. Victoria says, a month from today I will leave to go spend 40 days with my grandchildren. That is so nice, Victoria. Welcome. I'm so happy for you. You're going to be doing that. Hey, Pat. Hey, Sandra. And hey, Janie. Welcome. Judy. Sorry. Okay. So I'm very excited about today because I am debuting for you the Half Scale Dittoform. And if you own a ditto form, or if you own a half scale dress form, you probably are familiar with, working with the half scales, working with the ditto form. This is the best of both worlds because it's small and it's my shape. So I'm gonna put her, I wonder if I can turn this around so if I can get her in the frame with me, that would be really cool. Let me see if I can just pop this up a little bit. Maybe not that much. There we go. That's probably going to be a good. Okay, so here it is, and you can see I've draped a basic bodice on it. Okay, so you can see that I only put a couple pins in here, and I think you can see that this bodice is close to fitting nicely. I'm not gonna lie, I rushed, and in rushing, you can see there are some issues with it. When I cut out my, I put seam allowances on the pattern and I cut it out, you can see what happened here. I had to offset the side seam because there was too much fabric in the back and almost not enough fabric in the front, if you can see that. So I'm going to show you how to fix this. But part of why this half scale ditto form, why I'm so excited about this is because, when I'm designing something new for myself, I don't have to waste lots of fabric and time working in full scale. And we're going to do a test today. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you the pieces of this smaller pattern. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to make some adjustments based on how this fits on the full size, and then I can cut out and sew the full size and we can try it on Dottie, my full size. So if you guys don't know, half scale means it's half of a full size. So if you take the pattern pieces and enlarge them 200%, you will get the full size. So this can be a super game changer for me because I can work with smaller pieces to work out either my design details or my fitting details, and then I can blow it up to 200% and make it my size. So I'm very excited about this. This is a new product that Carol is offering at Dittoform, and basically she is charging, this is going to be $1,000, which is less than half of the price of the full-size Dittoform next year. Oh, and she's here, Carol. Okay, so Dittoform is in the house. So if you want to comment things, please, just chat them in the chat, and I will read it out to everybody. But I'm very excited about this. I was so excited that I draped this, and I did not take my time, and I did not pay attention to all the details because I wanted to sort of manufacture some issues that can happen when you're draping. So I'm going to go through those now, and then I'm going to show you how to fix those issues, but I'm going to fix them on the full size. So this is the half size, and I'm going to switch my view here to my table. I'm just going to stick her aside for now. So basically these are the pieces that I draped. So if you want to look at what I actually draped here. So I've got my my back, center back, side back. Move this out of the way for a second. And then I have my side front, and I have my center front. Now, if you are body aware and you know your shape, you could see errors in the draping right out of the gate. So for me, I have a G cup, okay? So I know that I have a giant bust shape, and basically what I can see right here is, notice how my back armhole wraps really far to the front in the back, and in the front I barely have any base of armhole sticking out going towards the back. That is a serious indicator that I did not drape these pieces along the actual side seam. And in fairness to me, I did not take the time to mark the side seam. So notice there is no side seam here. So I was kind of just guessing, which you should never do. You should always tape your side seam. I did not tape my side seam. So that's why this little piece is off. So we're going to fix that. Now, in my paper pattern, I saw that it was not correct. So I tried to guesstimate what I would have to do to fix it. So you can see here that I pushed out the side seam a little bit, like I added some there, and I took off some at the side. So if I put this on top of my side piece, you can see that I basically took off like a quarter, and I took off a quarter here, and I added the quarter here, but that was not enough to fix it. So I am going to fix it some more, and I'm gonna show you. So these were the pieces. I made pattern pieces and then I sewed them together. But basically, let me just move all these little pieces out of the way now, because what I'm gonna try to do here is I am going to try to work with this. So basically, I took my little pieces and I got them scanned in, and I ended up with these larger pieces. So I know right out of the gate that I need to fix this back. And so I'm going to just try to use the information from this small size right here to fix the big one, and then I'm going to cut it out and sew it. So basically, if I measure the difference here, and I'm just going to go ahead and measure from the seam to the 1/2 inch seam allowance, which I've added. So I'm going to remove that. It's a 1/2 inch, it's 1.5 inches sticking out from the seam. So that means I need to trim off on this size it's 1 inch. So that means on my 1/2 scale it's 2 inches. So I'm going to measure here. This is my side back piece right here. I'm going to measure in 2 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark here 2 inches because I have to double it, right? Because it's 200%. And then when I get up to the top, you'll notice the difference was not as much. There is only a, let me see what this is. This is a 1/2 inch. So it's only 1 inch different up here at the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm gonna trim off 1 inch at the top. And basically, I'm just going to keep this straight for now. So that's how much I'm going to take off, but I also want to add a seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and add the seam allowance in there, like this. So I'm going to cut this part off over here. Now, if we look at the front was pretty close. I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance there. So all I need to do in the front is add another 1/4 inch plus the 1/2 inch allowance. So you can see here in the front, this is my side front. I am going to have to add some stupid paper to this so I have enough. Just need a little piece here. So I am going to just tape that on like this. And I am going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 1/4 that I needed to add. Oh, actually, I just need to add a 1/4 because there is a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so I didn't need to add that paper. All right, let me just go ahead and add the 1/4 here. Okay. All right, so here's my 1/4. I don't need to add the seam allowance, I'm sorry. So there's my 1/4. So I have fixed what I think is going on at the side seam. So let's look at that again really closely. You can see that there was a 1/4 left, so I added the 1/2 inch. I added the 1/4 to make a 1/2 inch there, and I'm cutting off double of 1 inch and 2 inches here. So I think I have fixed my side seam. The shoulder and the armhole look pretty good, right? The center back makes it to center back, and the front makes it to front. I may want to let out in here just a little bit to give myself a little bit more room. So what I'm going to do is in this bust area right here, I'm just going to add a little bit more. And then after I add a little bit more, I'm just going to add like 1/8 of an inch here. And then I'm going to blend down to here. Okay. And then I'm also going to add a little bit to this side once I cut it. So let me cut this apart now, because I have to add seam allowances in between here, and I don't have enough fabric. I mean, I don't have enough room in the paper, so I can actually take this off over here. I don't need it over here. Well, I can just cut this. So really what I'm excited to test here is if the half scale that I'm creating works as a full-size pattern. So you're going to see it here live because that's what I'm doing. And if anybody has any questions about Dittoform or this half scale form, please post your questions because Carol is listening in today. So she's here to answer questions if I don't know what the answer is. So basically I'm going to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance right here all the way down. And I'm adding it to my new slightly bigger shape. So let me just make a nice shape here. I don't think I need a ton. I just wanted to add a little bit more room. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Is that like really sharp? Okay, so let me just okay. All right, okay, so the other thing I want to do here is see how when I draped the side and center front pieces, I want to make this a little bit wider here. Hey Tamika, welcome. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit to my center front and I'm gonna trim a little bit off my side front here, maybe a 1/2 inch on the half scale down here. So I'm gonna make an inch change on the bottom of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make a mark here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make this connect like this. So I'm getting rid of an inch down here, and I'm actually going to add an inch to my center front over here. And I should be able to blend that back in. So I'm just going to sort of do something like this. I'm just shifting this seam a little bit. Okay, so I'm plussing here and I minused here, so I don't need this. So my seam allowance will go like this. Okay. All right, so to keep this nice and neat, I'm just going to cut this out so we know what we're doing. All right, so I'm just cutting this out. Like this, and I also need to add a 1/2 inch here. Hi LAOs, hello, I'm curious about how the scaling up of the paper pattern is accomplished. Thank you. All right, so I basically, you can scale up, you know, your printer can scale it up, or I used my grading software to scale it up. You can also scale in Illustrator. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can scale up to full size. I did it in my grading software. I have this feature where it will let me just change the size of something by a percentage. So I increase the size of the small pattern. Increase the size of the small pattern by 200%. And I'm just talking to myself here, and I just realized I have to add. This doesn't have seam allowances, so I need to add not a 1/4 inch. That's how much it was short. I need to add in a 1/2 inch plus the 1/4 inch that it needed to extend. So I almost made a boo-boo there. So let me just put a piece of paper here. Sorry about that. So the 1/4 I added here was what the front was short. Okay, and I'm not doubling it because it was a seam allowance, but then I have to add the seam allowance because there was no seam allowance on here. So let me just add that. Okay. Okay. All right. Glad I caught that before I sewed it together. Okay. All right, let's see. The other thing you can use this half scale dress form, ditto form for is to see if designs are going to be flattering on your shape before you make them in full size. That's another good reason to work with a half scale that is your shape. All right, so now I'm just going to add some paper over here so I can add my what I need over here. Oh, Pat says the grading sounds like it would be very workable for folks who cut out with a projector. Yes, projector is something I have not experimented with yet. I know it's something that's very popular for people, and I've been a little dragging my feet on trying to add that to, you know, things that I know how to do. So, but I do agree with you, Pat, because I know that you can, you know, scale things up and so on and so forth using a projector. All right, so I'm gonna come back over here and I am going to, I'm just gonna line these up, and I am going to, I'm just gonna come in here and I'm literally just gonna add like another little bit in here. Just a little bit more room because I feel like I need that, and then I can add my seam allowance to that. Okay. All right, so let me just add my seam allowance here. And then I'm going to add my seam allowance up here. I'm not adding seam allowances to the neckline or armhole openings because I'm not sewing anything to it at this point, and I just want to see if it matches around the neck and armhole without having a seam allowance hanging out there. All right, now let me cut this one out. Okay. All right. Oops. All right, so there's my back pieces are all set. And let me, I think I have enough paper here to add the allowances right to, these are my center back and my side back pieces. So those pieces I think I just have room to add. And after I add the seam allowances, I'm just going to walk the pieces to each other to make sure they still agree, because I did make some little changes. I probably could have walked it before I added seam allowances, but that's all right. The one thing I'm wondering about on the half scale, I didn't generate any extra ease on the side front piece like you would traditionally have on a princess seam. So I think I'm going to add some. So let me just finish cutting these out and then I'll show you what I mean by that. Because I have a G cup shape, so I know I might need a little bit more ease. That might be, you know, why the half scale was pulling there at the bust. Now I added a little bit of room, but also I might need to add a little to the side front, so I have to ease it into the center front. Okay, so here is my center back piece. Okay, and then I'm just going to add, I added seam allowance over here already, so I'm just going to add some seam allowance here. Oops. Okay, so I'm just, like I said, I'm just adding seam allowances so I can cut them out. Okay, so again, let's just cut this out. All right, this is exciting. Okay. Okay, so I feel like my back pieces are gonna be fine. I think those are gonna work out, but just to see, I'm just gonna walk them, and I'm walking them on the stitching line, which I can see through the paper. So I literally just want to double check here before I cut out the fabric. So I'm just walking it along. All right, so my back piece is a little long. I am just going to cut it to match. I mean, the center back piece is slightly long, so I'm just going to cut it to match. So these are good. Then I'm going to bring this over, and what I want to do is I'm going to mark on here, you know, my apex level is 12 inches, approximately 12 inches, which puts me about here. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to, make, let's say, 4 inches, approximately 4 inches above, and let's do 3 inches below. Okay, this area in here, I am going to, I'm going to walk down from the shoulder, and I'm going to mark that on my side front piece so it matches. So I want to make sure I mark exactly where that is, right here. Okay, so that's the same distance from the shoulder down, so see, I've got it like this, right? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk it from the bottom up to that notch, and I want to see how much ease I have, which I'm guessing I'm not going to really have very much. So let's see where we are. So where's that mark? Oh, it's down here. Oops, sorry. Let me just... So that mark is right here, which is right here. So now I just want to sort of walk this I can see the line underneath, that's why I'm walking it on top like this. I just want to see how much ease I have. And, my front is longer than my back, so that's probably because it was wrong down at the hem. So let me fix that first. Okay, hold on a second. Let me just get this so it's... Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so that's what the problem is. So let me just cut this. Now, here's an interesting thing. My mini piece was a little bit off, and my larger piece is twice off. So that's interesting to me. So it's looking like this half scale thing is actually, you know, the differences are doubling. So what is the first thing we're learning here? Before you increase your half scale pattern to 200%, you want to make sure that you don't have any significant issues, because significant issues will then double when you blow it up, obviously. So now I'm going to walk the bottom of this. I took off the little bit of extra there. So this will be actually, I can see it, will be right here. So now I basically just want to walk these together so I can show you that my top is still, how could that possibly be? Hold on one second. Let me just measure it. All right, so here we are here. Let's see here, hold on. Okay, so that matches. This matches. And this matches. So if the whole thing matches, the whole thing should match. Oh, I'm sorry, it's here. Okay, so now let me walk these, and you're going to see that this matches. They match perfectly, all right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some ease, and because I know for a G cup, I'm going to need a little bit more room in there. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to slash and spread, and I'm going to add, let's add a 1/2 inch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some paper, and I'm going to tape it onto here. And this should be a pivot, but obviously I cut it straight through, so I'm not adding anything to the actual side seam. I'm just spreading this open a 1/2 inch right here, like that. So now we will have to ease in this amount into here. So when I make a fabric version of this, I am going to ease that in. So now my side front is longer, or it has more vertical length than the side front piece. All right, so now we're going to cut this out of fabric, and we're going to sew it together, and we're going to try it on the full size Dottie, which is something I'm super excited about. And you know I wanted to share this with you live, because this is like the most exciting thing to happen to me since getting my full size Dottie. So I'm just going to get myself some fabric here, and I'm going to make sure that it's long enough. So I'm just going to put this like this so I can cut my fabric out. All right, so I'm going to okay. All right, so I'm only going to cut out half for now because I want to check it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to lay my pieces on my muslin, and I'm going to cut them out. So here are my 2 front pieces. Now I am working on my Sew Tights magnetic cutting mat, which I absolutely love, so I can just put a few weights here and it'll hold it for me like this. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this out. And then we're going to sew it together. And then we are going to try it on and see how it fits Dottie. Okay, so there is one piece. Oops. Oh, I'm right on the crack there. Okay. I have no seam allowance at center front or center back, because again, I want to see if it goes there. All right, now let's cut out the back pieces. Okay, let's see. Okay, so here are my back pieces. Oops. There is a link to Dittoform in the description of the video. I also included my how to make a non-stretch cover for a Dittoform tutorial in the description below as well. So if you're interested in any of that. Okay, I just have this last piece to cut out, and then I'm just going to mark my front where I have to gather, and then we're going to see how it fits. This back armhole looks better now that I got rid of the extra in the back and added it to the front. Okay, all right, oops. Okay, all right, so I've got my back pieces. I'm gonna put those aside. Got my front pieces here. So what I'm gonna do for the front pieces is I am just going to mark where the notches are here. Okay, so I've got that one, and then I'm going to mark the notches on this one. Okay, all right. All right, so I'm going to get my sewing machine, and we are going to sew this puppy together. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 rows of gathering, make my stitch length a little bit longer, maybe 4. I'm going to do 1 close to the edge. Oh, I can get closer here too. Hold on. Make sure that's nice and sharp. Okay, I'm not going to use my automatic cutter because I need some strings or threads to pull here. So I'm going to do one a little bit farther out. Oops. I just don't want to lose my thread tail here. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to just make a second. Okay, so that's where I have to gather in the side front to fit the center front. So to do this, I am going to lay my front pieces together. I'm going to pin. I'm probably going to use clips actually. So I'm just going to clip myself here and here. on the notches below, and then I'm gonna clip the top here. Just make sure you can see what I'm doing. That's super sharp. Let me just make it a little bit bigger. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do this down to that notch. So it's 1-to-1 above and below where I'm pulling the threads. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but pulling bobbin thread is easier than pulling needle thread when you're trying to gather. So I'm gonna work on the outside with my my white bobbin thread here. So what I'm going to do is I'm gently going to pull this like this. So see what I'm doing? I'm sort of just easing in. So I'm adding some more room there, and I just want to keep easing it until it matches like that. All right, so let's... Now notice the reason why I did 2 rows of stitching is because I think you can see that the gathers now are controlled on both sides. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in so you can see that. So see how you can really see those gathers are nicely controlled. I'm gonna blow it out a little bit so you can see. See how the gathers are nicely controlled on both sides? That'll make a nice smooth, because I'm going to sew in the middle of that. So I think what I'll do is I'll just sew this together. And again, I want to make sure we're nice and sharp. So I'm going to just sew this at a 1/2 inch. Now, and when I get to my gathered section, I'm just going to go stitch right between the gathers. Between my gathering stitches. I might be making some little pleats here. I'm really just excited to see if this fits. Okay. Okay, here is the top. All right, and then let's pin together the back pieces. Oh, Carol says that the half scale is not on her website yet, so you're getting a sneak peek for the half scale. And also, if you're getting both the full-size Dittoform and the half scale Dittoform, then it's $750 for the half scale. If you're just getting the half scale, it's $1,000. So I just want to chime in to Carol, her comment about that, so you guys can see that. All right, I want to make sure I do this correctly so all the seam allowances are going on the right side. So my side seam is going to be here, like this. So this piece is going to go on like this. Okay, so I'm just going to pin my backs together, and then we're going to sew these. So you guys know from following along with me that like my Dittoform has saved me a lot of agita, you know, just because I can see myself 360 and I don't have to keep running back and forth in front of the mirror. It was super helpful when I was designing that dress for Mother's Day, and I could work with it on my Dottie and not have to, you know, keep checking the mirror and checking the you know, what the back was doing. I could see what the back was doing. It was just a much more pleasant experience. So if you guys do a lot of fitting, this is really like your best fitting friend, in my opinion. Okay. This is going to be so exciting. Okay. If you guys have ever wondered, when you're sewing things that have a slight angle, it is okay if the edges don't match up. It's where you sew that needs to match up. Okay, because these are going at slightly different angles. Because when you put them together, it makes a nice straight line like that. All right, we're almost done. We're almost ready to try it on. Okay, so Carol is saying in 2026, the price for a full-scale Dittoform will increase to $22.50. There will be a chance to pre-book in 2025 for the existing price of $19.75. Make sure you are in my database to get updates. So, Carol, can they go to your website and sign up for your whatever for your database? Like, how do we get on the database? That's what I want to know. I probably should know the answer to that. All right, I'm just going to sew my side seams here. All right, and then I'm going to just, in addition to doing the side seam, I am going to sew my shoulder seam, and then we're going to put this puppy on. I'm very excited. Okay, just going to put one clip on the princess seam. All right, this is exciting because now we're going to try it on. I am going to press my seam allowances in because that's how they line up with the end of the shoulder seam here. All right. Okay. Now for the fun part. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my view. Move this out of the way. I'm going to get my Dottie girl. So again, this is the raglan I'm making for my daughter Anna. I'm so excited. She tried it on and it fit her really nicely. So all I have to do is put the little cuff with the thumb hole on it and she'll be good to go. Okay, let's see how this fits us. Notice I say us because if it fits Dottie, it also fits me. Oh my goodness, girls, this is incredible. Look at that. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. All right, you saw it here first. I did not pre-plan this. And as you can see, I also had to make some adjustments from some boo-boos. But look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Look, I don't even need pins. Ta-da! Look at that. Let's get my other girl here. Look at that. Isn't that fabulous? I am so excited. I am so excited. I think adding that extra in the side front really helped that fit. It's not pulling on the armhole. I'm very excited. So there you go. Look how quick and easy you could go from this to this. Let's do one more quick, I'm going to do one more slow-mo turnaround here. As you can see. All right, so super excited about this. And if anybody, oops, I'm sorry. If anybody's wondering what a standard half scale dress form looks like, I do also have one. So I want you to just maybe compare for a minute here. I'll lay them on my table just so it'll be easier to see. Hold on one second. Let me move my machine out of the way. And then I'm just going to swing this back around so I can show you. Okay. Oh my God, Carol, you have no idea how excited I am that now I can work in half scale and then just pop it into a full scale pattern. That's going to save me so much time when I'm in the testing phase. I am beyond excited. All right, let me switch my view here. So I just want to show you the difference. So this is a standard dress form, a standard half scale, right? I'm gonna lay it sideways like this. And then you can see I can put mine next to it. So you can clearly see what's more useful when you're trying to design something half scale. Obviously, this does not have my belly. It does not have my bust, it does not have my shoulders, and it doesn't have legs. Now some do have legs, but I'm beyond excited. So there you are. So standard dress form. Let me see if I can. Oh, there we go, that's better. Okay, so standard dress form, and then a body double dress form. So you can see me in all of my glory. Look at that. Even my little belly right there. See? That's me right there. And even, I mean, just to show you how accurate the half scale is, let me just take out these pins. Some other things about me. I have a pretty good divot or dent along my spine in the back, and you can see that that's in there, right? My linebacker shoulders match my full size, right? So this little Mini-Dottie is going to be indispensable for me. I am so excited, and I am beyond thrilled with the way the this came out. This is incredible. Incredible. So if anyone was wondering if a half scale dress form does pop into a full size if you increase it 200%, the answer is yes. So this is what it looks like. You're going to see me working with my half scale to create different designs going forward, especially if I want to check like, are the seams in a flattering position, right? Or is the style of what I'm making going to be flattering for my shape? Those are the things that I really need to pay attention to, because sometimes I design things and I have a giant bust and I have skinny, in comparison, like skinnier legs. So sometimes I look like an apple on a stick. So it's really important to me to see the proportion of my upper body, you know, and then my lower body, and then be able to see how these things fit. So I'm super excited about this, and I'm so happy that I was able to share this with you live. Like, this is total transparency. You can see I had to fix some things. This wasn't manufactured. I did it, you know, straight from a literal rush job to drape this. I scanned it in, brought it to the printer, came back, and then I just drew an illustrator to make the pieces so I could grade them or increase them 200%. And then I printed out the full-size pattern. And I was able to do that all in an hour. Literally, I spent an hour working on this. So it wasn't even a very time-consuming project, but I am thrilled with the results. You know I'm going to draft a sleeve for this, right? I want to put a sleeve on here and see how that works. Super excited. So if anybody has any questions about Dittoform, there is a link to Carol's website in the description below. You can contact her through her website, and she can answer any questions you have. You can ask me questions, and that's my exciting thing for today. I'm like really, really thrilled. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today for this really fun Fab Fit Friday, where I got to take my little mini half scale pattern pieces, blow them up 200%, and come up with something that actually fits, and super thrilled. So there you go. And I just want to make sure nobody has any questions before I pop off here. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me, and I will be doing more with this. I will tell you on Monday I'm going to have a special cool tool, because it's going to be something I'm featuring that I also want to give kudos to the company. So make sure you tune in Monday for a special cool tools, because it's sort of a thank you and a I just want to shout out to this company about how generous they are and how much they do for the sewing community, on top of making great products. That's all I'm going to say about that. So join me for that. Victoria is saying, I guess this would make it less cumbersome working just half scale. Hopefully won't end up still doing a lot of corrections to the full-size muslin. Well, Victoria, what I want to say about that is I fixed the mistakes I made draping my mini. So after I sewed it together, I realized like I should have adjusted a few things before I blew up the pattern. And I think you saw how easy it was for me to measure the correction on the half scale, double it, and take it off of the full size. And I ended up with a perfect result without killing myself. So I think going forward, the lesson learned, which I already know, is to be careful when you're draping your half scale. Get it perfect before you blow it up to 200%. And then I think there'll be very minimal changes you would have to make for the full-size muslin. I mean, the fact that this had so many things going on with it that were not correct, I just want to show you, like, literally, I had to pull that much fabric out of the back, right? So I fixed that, and I was able to very easily calculate what I needed to by doubling it, you know, and then just making some changes in where the style lines were in the front, and then adding that ease in the side front of the princess seam. Now, if you know you need that, you can add that to your half scale pattern piece, and when you blow it up, it will be correct there as well. So I hope that answers that question. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining me. Next week for Fab Fit Friday, we will be starting a new project. It's going to be very exciting, so I'll see you next Friday. And then the Friday after, I believe I will be gone. Let me just check my schedule here, because I want to make sure I give you guys notice. Oh, so actually, I do have 2 more Fab Fit Fridays for the end of October, and then 2 weeks from then, I'm going to be in Indiana teaching the 3-day pants fitting. So thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you for the next 2 weeks, and then I'm off to do pants fitting in Indiana. So have a great rest of your day. Carol, if you're still listening, thank you for hopping on and answering questions or giving information about these wonderful, my favorite Dittoform. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. All right, I'm signing off now because I'm going to start to ramble, but have a great rest of your day, everyone.